In about 1 hour's time from now, I will be joined in the studio by Rob Stevens. But first, Bobsled continues its World Cup tour of Europe, and that, of course, leads to the World Championships later this season. Today's stop is Cortina d'Ampezzo, a site very, very familiar to our bobsleigh analyst, Chris Laurie, and he will be joined by the CBC's Mark Lee, who will describe all of today's action from Italy.
Cortina, Italy. Splendid on a gloriously sunny day in the Italian Alps. The next stop on the Visa World Cup Bobsleigh Tour. Going downhill fast. That's the object of bobsleigh. But for some veterans, their season is going downhill even faster. Canada's Pierre Lueders has been plagued by faulty equipment and mistakes in training. 1 year before Salt Lake City's Winter Games, he still has a chance to recover. Germany's Christoph Langen, a four-time world champion, missed the first race of the season, but came right back the next week to win. His driving skills are being challenged by a new breed of pilot. Switzerland's rookie Martin Annen heads a new class of drivers who've thrown caution to the wind and issued a challenge. The Visa World Cup Bobsleigh Tour moves to Cortina, Italy, as unusually warm weather continues to challenge this winter sport. Good afternoon and welcome to our coverage from the Italian Alps. I'm Mark Lee, along with four-time Olympian Chris Laurie. And Chris, Western Europe is experiencing its mildest winter in 50 years. It's meant for some soft ice conditions, particularly frustrating for Canada 1's Pierre Lueders, who's yet to crack the top three. What do you think Canada has to do today to change its luck?
Well, Pierre knows that clearly right now his challenges are in the start. When Pierre first started on the World Cup circuit, he's one of the top three pushing teams at the start. And of course now he's in a situation where he's starting 10th fastest, 8th fastest, 12th fastest. And against these drivers and against these new young fast pushers, it's going to take a lot more driving skill to make up for that difference. And so clearly that's where his challenge is, and he knows it.
Well, let's talk about the young guns you just talked about. It's early, but already an interesting complexion is beginning here with the youngsters. Martin Annen, 1 year out of the junior ranks, tied for first place in the two-man standings with René Spies, another young kid from Germany, and André Lange is in second, just 4 points back. Where's Christian Reich, the two-man World Cup champion last year, has yet to mount the podium?
Well, Christian Reich and Christoph Langen, they have the push experience, but more so they've got the driving experience. The young kids, they're younger, they're stronger, they're faster, and they're just starting to get the driving experience now on all the tracks in the World Cup environment and are very competitive and have moved straight to the top and are now on equal footing with Langen and Reich.
It's still early. This is the third stop on the Visa World Cup Bobsleigh Tour, but Pierre Lueders knows if he wants to be in the top three come the end of the year, he's got to make a move today. Our coverage from Cortina begins today with the four-man competition. We'll also feature the two-man bobsleigh and hear from the Canadians who've had a frustrating start to this season. It's been unseasonably warm in this alpine region. Cortina organizers were forced to delay training by a full day because of unsafe ice conditions, and they had to use dry ice to refrigerate Curve 1 when the temperature rose to 8 degrees. Let's take a look from the pilot's point of view of this track that was first built for the '56 Winter Games.
Out of corner one here, a long straightaway into corner two, Cento, one of the most difficult corners in all of bobsleigh to set you up for the top of the track. Formerly a natural track, they made this track artificial because the speeds were too great and had to shorten the start. The larger corners at the bottom are very, very powerful, a lot of G-forces. Here in a long straightaway heading towards the second to last and last corner, where you see this sled turning over, it's very dangerous at the bottom and a lot of pressure in that final curve.
Chris, in the old days, there were no weight restrictions on the sleds, but today it's an exact science and strictly enforced.
The Technical Commission for Bobsleigh has to continually control the specifications of the sled so that the countries with greater financial resources don't continue to gain a distinct advantage in that area.
So the length, the width, and the weight are all identical for every sled, so that no one gets a mechanical advantage. Cortina's track gets a tune-up with modern equipment every year, so it's well equipped for these mild conditions. Coming up the second run of the four-man competition, here's what happened in the opening run. Germany won, André Lange in first place, but look how close they are. Lange, then Benish, Sandis Prusius of Latvia won, Annen and Reich of Switzerland, they're all within half a second. Canada's Pierre Lueders way back, though, in 18th place, a full 1.3 seconds off the lead. That is a deep hole for the Canadians to start. As we go back to the start hut here at Cortina, Germany 3, Christoph Langen, the four-time world champion, who was first. The last event in Eagles in the four-man. This team known, Chris, for its explosive start.
Christoph Langen had missed a race, so he's been put into the second group for this race. When you're in the second group, you have a slight disadvantage in the area of the ice conditions, because the ice will deteriorate some from the first group, which is the first 10 sleds based on World Cup ranking.
Pushing hard, the Germans are off. And let's get a look at the first 50 meters. Their time, oh, very quick, 4.86 seconds, and they're quickly in the lead ahead of Francois Bruno Migion.
They were very fast on the start, but they had a little bit of difficulty loading very efficiently, and that will cost them a little bit of time when you see the fluency of the load somewhat interrupted.
This course, there's a lot of banging and crashing all the way down.
It's a very rough course, especially at the top. You have to get a nice rhythm, but the driving style is so aggressive that it can sometimes be difficult, but you always have to come back.
Oh, look at that. Langen bumping and grinding. You mentioned technology off the top, Chris. Last year, Langen was disqualified for using illegal technology in his front axle.
And I'm surprised at that, because Langen should have known better, because just a couple of years prior, the Swiss were disqualified for the same thing.
Well, a good second run, fourth best on the day, but not good enough to overtake Francois Christoph Langen, sitting in second place.
Christoph Langen did not have a good run on that run. You can see the sled was a little bit ahead of him and slightly out of control.
Yes, not showing much emotion as they exit their four-man sled. Let's take another look at Langen.
He's down a little bit too early out of Cristallo, and it pushes him over to the left-hand side where you see him take that bump, and the back end will shift it out underneath him a little bit.
Tremendous concentration, but as you mentioned, he was ragged, and that cost him second overall right now after two runs for Christoph Langen. Back to the top, the World Cup two-man champion last season, Christian Reich, ranked fifth after the first run here in the four-man competition. Reich yet to get on the podium in two events so far this year.
Reich has a solid team this year, and on a track like Cortina, where it requires a lot of experience to be successful on this track, he will definitely perform well in this race just on experience alone.
Yes, he's versatile. He was fourth overall in the four-man competition on the World Cup circuit last year. Let's take a look as Francois Migion still in the lead. No, 4.89, the fourth fastest start, but that puts him in the lead initially.
Coming down this straightaway, it's like you're on eggshells. You don't want the sled to shift at all in the straightaways on this track.
Look at that.
It's a very bumpy track. Although the conditions are warmer, the ice surface can get very hard and very bumpy. They don't groom it like they do the natural track, the artificial tracks.
Ice temperature was listed at -7 Celsius to start the day, so decent ice conditions.
That small change in direction there seems to be a little bit different than previous years, where the sleds seem to be going into it quite late and throwing them off balance a little bit.
Good driving here on the bottom half of the course as Reich leads by more than 3/10 of a second. Bruno Migion now conceding in the winner's area as he has been replaced by the crew of Switzerland 2, and Christian Reich moving into the lead by 22/100ths of a second.
He has a generous cushion there, and it'll be interesting to see if he can get in the medals with a run like that. It's a question of reducing the mistakes on this track rather than having absolute precision all the way down.
Look at his split times from his coach in the finish area. Another look at that turn and his exit.
He steered a little bit too hard, and you can see the back end still has pressure on the corner, and the back end gets pushed over to the left-hand side.
And Chris, out of that corner, the sled can actually become airborne.
Yes, there is this very steep drop-off out of Cristallo, and the sled literally gets launched about 5 to 7 meters before the second-to-last corner.
So Christian Reich temporarily in the lead. At this time last year, he'd already had 2 victories in the two-man competition and a 4th in the four-man. He's been struggling so far this year. At the top of the course, his young teammate, Martin Ahnen, the pilot of Switzerland 1, was ranked 4th after the opening run. The young bloods from Switzerland really stirring this season with their surprisingly quick start right out of the junior ranks.
It's incredible how composed Martin Ahnen is in this level of competition, and he's just been going out and winning races, kind of matter-of-fact, ho-hum, and going out and just continues to perform.
What a great start, 4.86 seconds. That matches the time of Christoph Langen.
Here in Cento, it's a very difficult corner on the exit. And
Look out!
And you can see there, he came out of the corner too late and got pushed across on the left-hand side.
And in bumping and grinding down this Cortina course, he did not compete in the two-man circuit last year as a junior, but did drive in 3 events in the 4-man and was second at La Plagne.
He's having some challenges at the top of the track, and I don't know if he's going to have the speed to carry him through the finish at the bottom.
Oh, now he's dropped. He's now 6/100ths off the time posted by Reich.
That's a very nice exit out of Cristallo, and he's going to need that to stay in contention.
Oh, the bumping and grinding is costing him time now as he comes to the finish. No. Second place, Reich still the leader by 15/100. So the veteran finally turns the tables on the rookie.
Annan showing a little bit of lack of experience there at the top of the track. He probably went about it a little bit more gingerly than you need to on this Cortina track where you have to drive very aggressively.
And what is it about this track that causes so many of these drivers to bang against the walls?
You can see him here out of corner 2. He came out too soon, and the sled went up on the end and then slid off and hit before the corner was over.
A lot of time lost on those bumps.
Steering too hard out of Cristallo, pushed him around a little bit, but the speed will then straighten the sled out.
So Christian Reich, the champion last year in the two-man, who's had a tough start to the season this year, hoping finally here in the 3rd event at Cortina he'll finally get on the podium. Right now he's the leader. To the top, this is Latvia 1, Sandis Prusis, the pilot. He was 8th in the 4-man at Altenburg, a little bit better in Eagles at 6th. And here, trying to get into the top 3. He was 3rd overall after a tremendous first run.
Sandis Prusis, always the bridesmaid. He's been in this sport a long time. He's been finishing 4th, 5th, 6th, year after year after year. Once in a while, he gets in the medals. He's got a lot of driving experiences. He's had some challenges. He was formerly with the Soviet Union, now just Latvia alone. So it's taken them some time to get the resources together to become a very powerful force here in the World Cup circuit.
Oh, he's in trouble at the same spot Annan swerved.
Cento, the problem with Cento is you have to steer sooner than what your body tells you and what your eyes tell you. It's just a feeling. It's a rhythm in that corner that you have to steer in a very specific spot.
He's picking up speed now and has a good time in the lead by 12/100ths. Prusis of Latvia 1.
Here in Cristallo, very high pressure in that corner and a nice exit that'll fire him down the straightaway through the finish. He will make up some time at the bottom.
Final few seconds. Reich looking on. And Prusis has the lead. 53.17 seconds. The fastest drive so far here in the 2nd run of the 4-man competition. And are they happy?
That is a very nice run for Prusis. A mistake there out of corner 2. But he's on equal ground because everybody's making mistakes in Cento.
Another look at that exit.
Fairly high on the exit, but with his experience, he just let it go. He knew how to correct it and then let the speed take over and straighten the sled out on the slightly soft surface here in Cortina.
So Sandis Prusis now in medal contention here in the 4-man competition, pushing Christian Reich off the top. 2 sleds still to come in the 4-man competition when we return to beautiful Cortina, Italy.
Max? Max? Max, this is just the entrance. What do you say we go inside?
Call 1407-W-Disney and make your dream come true. When did the financial revolution begin? Wasn't it yesterday when everything started to change? We were made for this revolution. Today, we are one of the largest financial services companies on earth, working in over 60 countries. Want to manage your money in ways that fit these new times? Remember our name, ING.
We're going to offer you a new Beetle starting at just $2.99 per month. Because we know how much you like to play in the snow.
Visa World Cup Bobsleigh on CBC. Brought to you by Visa, proud sponsor of our Canadian bobsleigh teams.
Back in Cortina, two sleds really with a chance to win left to go from Germany. This is Germany 2 and Matthias Benisch, the rising star pilot on this German team. He won the opening event of the season in Altenburg, Germany. And he's back to try and do it again in second place after the opening run of this competition.
Matthias Benisch has a very young crew, and their start in the first heat was not where they'd like it to be. It was 9th fastest, and we'll see if they can improve on that here.
And Prusis, who has the lead in Latvia 1, laid down a great time in the second run. Oh, pretty good start, but 7th overall in the day.
He drove very well on the first run, but it's very difficult to be consistent on a track like Cortina because one small mistake can put you out of the running.
Early, he has a lead by 6/100ths of a second. Very slim early in this course.
He drove a slightly better line out of Cento than most of his competitors before him. And now moving into the lower part of the track, where in these big corners, there is a lot of pressure.
Benisch is 32 years of age, a late bloomer on this team, and his time is dwindling as he moves down the track.
He must have made some small mistake up top.
Oh, he's lost it now by 1/100th.
A little bit of inexperience on this big track here in Cortina.
At the finish, he's still second, and Sanders Prusis is sitting on top by 7/100ths of a second.
Well, Prusis had the same start as Benisch, and with his experience, he took him over on the track in the driving. Steered a little bit too early out of Cristallo, and again, the back end still has pressure on the sled and will push it slightly sideways.
So Benisch cannot overtake Sanders Prusis of Latvia 1. He has the lead right now, and he awaits the last challenger to his throne. Also from Germany, the pilot of Germany 1, Andre Lange. He burned up this track in his first run, 52.63 seconds, hit a speed of 128.58 kilometers per hour. Ranked first after one run, and he has a tremendous start.
Now, Prusis had a great run, but with Lange and his powerful start will give him a lot of cushion to work with, and that will allow him some mistakes in the area of driving to keep him in the lead.
Let's take a look at this start time for Andre Lange, Germany 1, trying to catch Latvia 1. 4:87, wow! He's 29/100ths already in the lead in the first 50 meters.
And it was a very good load, a nice exit out of corner 1, and let's watch what happens in Cento. That is the best Cento we've seen all day, and to do that takes absolute precision driving in the middle of that corner Cento.
German coaches watching on this young Andre Lange, who's found a very fine line.
He is driving marvelously at the top of the track, and he knows that with his fast start, and if he drove the top of the track that well, he's got himself a gold medal.
Yes, Andre Lange has been second and third so far on the tour, looking for his first gold. Look at that time now, leading by 44/100ths. Say goodbye, Sanders Prusis. This is the best driving of the weekend.
Oh, he was just smoking on that track. He drove very clean lines, and of course his crew's got to be happy with that because it doesn't beat him up. They've got themselves a gold medal.
Andre Lange of Germany won, victorious by nearly half a second.
Andre Lange showing that he is well-rooted here at the top ranks in World Cup bobsleigh, driving like that.
Yes, the world champion from 1 year ago, Andre Lange, a gold to go with his silver and bronze so far in 3 stops this year.
Very nice exit out of Cristallo, taking the pressure in the corner to push you. Very linear lines out of the corner and straight down the straightaway with no lateral movement. Here in Antelau, just letting the sled run out of the corner and picking up into Cristallo, where you'll pull as much as 6 G-forces in this corner.
Yes, it's like being a jet fighter pilot. Andre Lange, number 1 in Cortina. The young German star, Christoph Langen's heir apparent, getting a handshake from the veteran Langen, but I think perhaps it's fair to say that Lange now is the lead driver for Germany. He wins today by nearly half a second over Sandis Prusis of Latvia 1. Matthias Benisch of Germany 2 is in 3rd place. And Pierre Luders of Canada 1 and also ran today at 16th, 1.68 seconds off the top. Brian Zarski and Tom Samuel way back.
Clearly what Pierre and his team are doing right now in this race are not working, and Pierre will make some changes.
Well, a disconsolate Pierre Luders left the talking after this 16th place finish to his crewman.
Well, I mean, the other teams are where we usually are, like the top Germans, the top Swiss. I mean, they're doing times that we've always done, and you know, we're going through some problems, some adversity. But I look at it like everyone's going to go through some adversity. We're going through ours now. We'd rather go through it now than before the Olympics, or you know, we'll take our lumps now, and we'll get everything ready for 2002.
So here are the world 4-man standings after 3 events. Andre Lange of Germany in 1st place with 102 points, followed by teammate Matthias Benisch, and Martin Annen of Switzerland in 3rd place right now. To find Pierre Luders, you've got to go down to 9th. He's there with 60 points, tied with the 4-time world champion Christoph Langen of Germany. Pierre Luders, the Olympic champion, disappointed in Cortina. A 16th place finish just not acceptable to him. The 2-man still to come.
All you need are blades sharp enough to split a hair. A few engineers to design an aerodynamic sled. 1,400 vertical meters of sheer ice. The strength of committed athletes and the ability to keep runners in a half-inch groove. Not to mention really, really good brakes. Visa is proud to sponsor the Canadian men's and women's bobsleigh teams.
Okay, let's defuse this, baby. How are we doing? Still here. What have we got? Oh, man. Cranberry, raspberry, blueberry. The detonator? Apple slice. Okay, good. Now, there's going to be fruit filling somewhere. See it? Yeah, it's right in the core.
Hey, guys, it's just called Fruit Explosion.
Tim Hortons' new Fruit Explosion and Lemon Blueberry Muffins. Mouth-watering fruit, berries, and a delicious fruit filling. Enjoy any muffin and medium coffee, just $1.69.
If you currently suffer from asbestos-related injury and you worked at sites with commercial boilers, you must act now in the Babcock & Wilcox bankruptcy. Claims that you, your family, your heirs, or others may have against B&W must be filed by the bar date July 30th, 2001. Claims for future asbestos injuries not evident now are not involved. To learn more, call toll-free 1-877-657-9158. 1-877-657-9158.
It is everywhere, in every business, big and small, spanning the globe and beyond. It connects the world and drives the economy. It is not just a new way of doing business, it's a new way of living. It's over 1.6 million positions waiting to be filled, and it continues to grow every day. It is e-business, and ITI is the school that can teach you to master it. Call us now to find out how. We are the postgraduate e-business school. No matter what your background, we'll transform you into a skilled e-business professional. We'll teach you our unique lifetime learning method, so as technology advances, you'll have the skills to advance with it. You work in teams, learning from the nation's e-business education experts. If you have a bachelor's degree in any discipline, call ITI now for a free information kit. There are lots of schools that can get you a job in IT. This is the one that can give you a career in e-business. Call 1-866-374-8080.
Does Canada's current electoral system serve the best needs of voters? Keith Bogue will have a special report on the issue next week on The National.
Welcome back to the Visa World Cup Bobsleigh Tour in Cortina, Italy. A reminder, our next event originates from Königssee, Germany on February the 10th. Crews have worked hard to keep the Cortina track in good shape considering the mild weather, but it hasn't made a difference for a frustrated group of Canadians. Canada 1 is carefully unpacked in Cortina, but the Olympic gold medal sled is showing its age. This troubling season, steering has fallen apart and the back end has broken. They've been deserted by their world-renowned fast starts, leading to a slow start to the season.
Having Ken in the sled again is fantastic, and it's just a matter of him getting back to the form that he was in. He was injured shortly before the season as well, so that is unfortunate. We just don't have the support to look after our people, and if we did, I think we'd be have a lot better success. But we have to go with what we have, and I'm sticking with Ken, and he's my man, and we're gonna fight, and we're gonna win together. We're gonna lose together, but in the end, we'll be better for it.
The Canadian team is young and inexperienced. Luters, the Olympic champion, has had no one to challenge him in training since the retirement of veteran pilot Chris Laurie. Canada was not prepared for World Cup competition this season.
Back when Chris Laurie would slide and he was in the program, it sort of forced everybody to come up to par just to make selection, just to get through. And so there was no complacency, and not that it's an intentional complacency, but you end up just performing well enough on the day to get the job done. And so with another Pierre Luters, I'm sure we'd be even better. I think that there's definitely some younger guys coming into the picture that have the potential to be competitive. The Europa Cup guys are doing well. I think it's going to be a little while yet before another Pierre Luters ever breaks the surface, but I see the program developing at a rate that's better than what it has been for sure.
I figure it would take at least a year and a half, maybe 2 years altogether, just to get comfortable enough and start well enough and drive well enough that I can start to be top 20 and maybe top 15 on a regular basis.
Yeah, we're going forward full speed. It's just going to take time to prove the results, and nothing happens overnight. We got Andy Kipchek as a trainer for our summertime dryland training, which has helped all of us a great deal, and of course Ivo Fariani is our driving coach and head coach, which is doesn't want to lose, so he's very competitive as a coach.
The tough time help you to fighting, to come back and to work hard. We know it's a hard moment, but we come back for sure.
I'm in the sport because I want to see how we do at the Olympics. That's the goal, that's the dream, of course, is to be successful at the Olympics, and who knows, it's every year it seems there's somebody else that comes onto the scene that's strong, and we haven't really had a really strong year since the Olympics, so our time will come.
Canada 1 is not in the top 5 after the first run of the two-man. Martin Anand of Switzerland won in first, just 1/100th of a second ahead of Andre Lange. Pierre Luters and Ken LeBlanc are currently in 12th place as we go to the top. And Chris, they've been plagued by equipment troubles and slow starts. Pierre Luters was telling me that Ken LeBlanc just wasn't in shape to start the season because of a knee injury that wasn't treated properly.
And if you go into a season just off of an injury, in this sport you have to be in very good shape going into the season because the season is very taxing, it's very physically demanding, and that can definitely create some problems at the start. As you see here, 14/100ths of a second behind the fastest start in the first run.
Luters and LeBlanc of Canada 1 bumping a bit there.
Falling to the challenge of Cento. With a slower start on this track, he's going to have to drive the top of the track perfectly to be able to catch up to leaders in the field.
Now, LeBlanc missed 5 weeks of training with a knee injury to start this season. That has hurt them, as we mentioned, in the push area.
Ken LeBlanc is a fighter. You know, I keep wanting to call him Kenny, but he hates to be called Kenny. If you call him Kenny, you better be one of two things. You better be faster than him or bigger than he is.
Right now, Canada 1 in the lead only by 6/100th of a second as they approach the final turn down the straight. Yes, Pierre Luters and Ken LeBlanc have taken the lead by 12/100ths of a second. Ivo Fariani, the Canadian head coach, will take it, but is it enough to stand with some of the big names still to come?
He drove much better on the bottom of the track on this run, but he gave up 0.8 of a second on the first run. To make that up on this track would be a great challenge indeed. You can see in Antelau, he was a little bit low at the entrance of the corner, so he had to let it get up toward the exit. Going into Cristallo, where that corner is big and powerful, handling 390 kilos of man and steel.
Usual Cortina stuff for me, eh?
Mr. Luter sounding a tad facetious after that run. He has the lead, but I think he is worried it will not hold up. As we take a look at the start hut, there's Christoph Langen of Germany. He's driving Germany 3 here in the two-man competition. His status as the lead driver beginning to wane this season, Chris, as Andre Lange has basically taken over as the hotshot pilot. You can see the Germans waiting until the last minute to take off their sweatsuits.
Yeah, for the start, you would warm up just as you would for a 100-meter sprint race, because all of the athletes in the sport are previously sprinters, very powerful sprinters, and you just wait till the last moment to take off the warm clothes and get it in, and then you just have your speed suit exposed and just ready to push the sled as fast as you can.
They're off and running. Christoph Langen was second at the second event of the season in Eagles, Austria, after missing the first event with an injury. And look at that time, 4:09.4. That's the fastest start so far in the second run.
With Christoph Langen, the start is never a question. In the first heat, he had a very fast start, but he was starting in 18th position out of the second group, so he had to come back from poor track conditions that you're left with starting in the second group.
Well, he's already got a lead of 0.2 of a second and growing now, 27/100ths over Pierre Luter's in Canada 1.
He's not really online at the top of the track. He had a little bit of going into some corners too early and set him off his pace a little bit.
See, that bump cost him 3/100ths.
And we'll see if he can make it up a little bit on the bottom of the track. He was nice out of Cristallo.
He's slowing down.
He got tossed out of the jump going into Valletta.
And at the finish, yes, he will push Pierre Luter's off the lead, but only by 7/100ths of a second.
Christoph Langen also had a lot of time to make up, and he knows with driving like that, that's not going to put him even probably into the top 6 in this race with the sleds that had gone before him putting in such great runs.
Indeed, the world champion from 1 year ago in the two-man. Look at that, struggling off the turn there.
He went late into that change of direction between Bandion and Antelau. Here he is in Cristallo. Very, very strong corner, controlling the sled nicely.
So the four-time world champion, Langen in the lead. To the top, this is Czech Republic 1, Pavel Puskar, the pilot. His best results this year, 2 13th place showings in Altenburg and Eagles. A reminder that the Nokia World Cup Snowboarding Championships to come immediately following this World Cup bobsleigh event from Cortina.
Pavel Puskar has been around a long time, him and Jan Kovian. Of course, in the Czech Republic, they have some serious financial constraints, but they're pushing very well, and they've been around so long, but they've had the challenges of just the financial resources in their country. He is a very good driver.
Nice straight there.
He's actually driving the top of this track very nicely. He, again, has a lot of experience. That is a phenomenal entrance into Belvedere and through Bandion.
The 10-year veteran from the Czech Republic hurtling down this Cortina course now in the lead by 17/100ths over Langen.
He has a nice run going. He collected a lot of speed at the top. He came out of Cristallo.
Oh, he's in a swerve there, though.
He came out of that corner way too soon, and that pushed him over.
Final few seconds, and Puskar has the lead by 16/100. So Langen is down and already being interviewed in the finish area. The Czech coaches happy with that run by the 10-year veteran of this Czech team.
Anytime you beat the 4-time world champion, you've got to feel good about it. He knows that what he did at the top of the track was able to push him through that mistake that he made at the bottom.
And as we look at a replay, the sun beginning to beat down on this artificial ice in Cortina.
He had a nice rhythm at the top of the track where he was able to make up his speed and overcome that mistake that he made right there, which was pushing him to the left-hand wall, and he overcorrected too much, pushing him back towards the right side.
Of course, the organizers had to close this course for training on Wednesday because the ice was unsafe Very mild conditions here as we look on. Pavel Puskar, the current leader, the clubhouse leader, as it were, with some big names to come. This is Bruno Midjan, and France won.
Bruno Midjan has always had a challenge in the start because he is one of the smaller drivers on the circuit.
A terrible start, 5:05.
As you can see, he's well behind on the start. And the problem with that is you're never at peace or confident that you absolutely will have a strong start. But you can see in the driving, out of Cento, he had a perfect line. And that's what makes Bruno Midjan a consistent contender here on the World Cup, is driving like he is here today on this track.
Trying to make up that time after a dreadful start, now banging. Bruno Midjan of France won.
On a track here in Cortina, it becomes a question of minimizing drastic mistakes, because one small mistake will compound into a great deal of time, and you just want to keep those to a minimum. Where on artificial tracks, you can drive with absolute precision and consistently on every run.
Wow. He's made up some time with some terrific driving and has the lead by the slimmest of margins, only 1/100th of a second. Puskar is out, and France's Bruno Midjan, after a brutal start, has come back to take the lead.
It was that precision driving that enabled him to reel in the competitor who's currently on the winner's circle. He probably came out a little too strongly out of Cristallo, again pushing him over to the right-hand side.
So the 33-year-old veteran pilot out of France, Bruno Midjan, has the lead by 1/100th of a second over Pavel Puskar of Czech 1. As you can see, it's a beautiful day in Cortina. The sunshades are up in the start area, though, because they're trying to protect this ice from the unseasonably mild conditions. Italy 1's Gunther Huber. He shared the Olympic gold in Nagano with Pierre Lueders.
Now let's watch Gunther Huber, because he knows this track better than anybody. He drives this track very consistently when you consider the challenges of this formerly a natural track. Watch the exit from Cento. Absolutely perfect. And also on the corners of the top of this track, you actually have to steer up the corner to get the sled onto the corner before you make your exit.
His driving skills apparent here, now in the lead by 28/100ths after a slow start at 5:01.
And you'll see that lead expands as he heads toward the bottom, driving very nice lines through this track. He knows it so well. Slingshot right into Cristallo, and he will go straight over the leap, down into the finish corner where there's a great deal of pressure.
Yes, Gunther Huber of Italy 1 in the lead by 18/100ths. The French are out. Huber making up for a slow start, 5.01 seconds, with some very good driving, and he is the leader.
He will set the pace for the top 6 in this race.
Huber getting a look at his split times from one of the coaches in the finish area. He'll analyze the race, but nothing else can be done now but to stand and wait as Midjan congratulates the Italian.
Here he is in Antelau. You make one change in direction, high in the corner, and you let the sled accelerate out of the corner as the pressure pushes you through into Cristallo.
So Gunther Huber, the man who shared Olympic gold with Pierre Lueders back in 1998 in the dead heat at the Olympic Winter Games, currently the leader, but his emotions controlled because he knows the top Germans and Swiss are still to come.
Overwhelming requests for CBC News coverage of funeral services for Pierre Elliott Trudeau have prompted a limited edition release in video format.
With every card, every rose, every tear, every wave, and every pirouette, you returned his love.
To place an order, call 1-888-326-2313.
It's your shopping cart, a breakfast table, your corner office. It's your car. Take it to Midas for our new VSD brakes. As North America's leader in brakes, only Midas has VSD brakes for enhanced performance, and they come with our lifetime guarantee nationwide.
That's how your life goes.
See Midas today for our new VSD brakes. Keep a good thing going. Go Midas.
Hello, Drummond and Partners? Yes, we do. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Hello, Drummond and Partners? Yes, I'll be here. Hold on a second. Hello, Drummond and Partners?
I've heard a lot about you.
He's on his line. Would you like to hold? Great, thank you. Hello, Drummond and Partners?
Billzinc.ca.
Damn tough, ram tough, Magnum motor. Get a hot Dodge Ram or a cool Dakota.
Canada's truck stop.
That's Dodge.
Canada's truck stop.
You can out, drive out, hustle out, tough out, muscle out, tow out, run out, work out, fun.
Canada's truck stop.
Ram tough looks burning up the road. Big room, big Ram with a big payload.
Canada's truck stop.
Amazing trailblazing, freewheeling, great feeling.
Canada's truck stop.
That's Dodge.
Get set for Winterfest on CBC Sports Saturday. Beginning at 12:30 Eastern, it's Nokia World Snowboarding Championships with men's and women's parallel giant slalom, halfpipe, and snowboard cross. And at 4:30, it's Alpine Ski World Championships as Darren Macbeth takes on the Herminator in the men's downhill. Brian Williams hosts Winterfest. It all starts next week at 12:30 Eastern on CBC Sports Saturday.
Welcome back to Cortina, Italy. There's the mountain where they shot the movie Cliffhanger with Sylvester Stallone. As we get set for the 5 sleds to come in the 2-man competition, a reminder that the Nokia World Snowboard Championships will immediately follow our coverage here of bobsleigh in the Italian Alps. As we look at that serpentine course in Cortina, it's Latvia 1 and Sandis Prūsis wearing a back brace as he gets start for his second run. He was 6th after the first. And you can see there's a lot of attention being paid here to cleaning their spikes.
Yeah, the plate on the bottom of the shoe, which contains hundreds of tiny little spikes to give them grip on this ice, just as you would a track spike on a sprinting track.
And they're off. Sandis Prūsis, Latvia 1.
The top of the start is about 10 meters, perfectly flat, and then it drops off to a very steep drop.
That's the 4th best start of the day, but it puts them in the lead combined with their time in the first heat. As we mentioned, he was 6th after the 1 run.
Oh, Sandis Prūsis should have just let the sled run out of Cento. It would have gone perfectly into the first labyrinth. Slight skid there, but he seems to have recovered very nicely with a nice entrance there into Belvedere.
It's a noisy sounding run for Prūsis.
It is a very hard track. The walls are some very hard concrete. You get tossed around. There's no ice on the walls, which makes the wax like that you take very dramatic. And the brakeman does not like that.
It's a banging and bumping and grinding run for Sandis Prūsis, but he's got the lead by 13/100ths of a second.
He actually recovered quite nicely at the top of the track and drove the middle section very well until that exit of Cristallo, where he steered down well too hard before the corner was even over. But he's still pleased with that one. It's just nice to get Cortina over with and have arrived safely at the bottom. This is Cristallo. He steers much too hard on the exit before the corner is even over, and that hurts the brakeman, and that will also kill your time going into that final straightaway.
They must have some fast runners to have a time like that after basically chewing up the course.
He just had a very good middle section of the track where he was able to collect his speed and push him through that mistake at the bottom, but definitely cost him.
Now to a team that has some of the finest runners, finest equipment in the world, Switzerland 3, and the World Cup 2-man overall champion from 1 year ago, Christian Reich. He was 4th after the first run.
Christian Reich, once again at the top of the pack, again showing his experience. At the 1989 World Championships, he was 2nd place as a crewman here on this Cortina track.
And of course, Hans Hildebrand, who used to work with the Canadian team in Nagano, is now helping the Swiss with their equipment.
Hans Hildebrand has really, once again, put the Swiss at the top with the Germans in this sport. He brought his equipment with him, and in fact, the Swiss will not allow Hans Hildebrand to work on anybody else's equipment who he has previously built sleds for. He cannot work on the sleds or build sleds for any other country.
So Pierre Lueders, of course, would love to have that expertise again, but he can't have access to Hildebrand. And right now, Christian Reich has the lead, 14/100ths of a second, over Sandis Prusis of Latvia 1.
He was a little choppy at the top of the track. This track will open your eyes. You have to be very, very alert for the whole run, and as soon as you get out of flow, it's very difficult to get it back.
It's the best run of the day, 54 seconds flat. And the lead is 6/100ths of a second over Sandis Prusis. Christian Reich, who's yet to get on the podium this year, very happy with that. He's got a chance in Cortina.
Once he saw the time at the bottom, he was probably surprised when you consider some of the smaller mistakes that he made throughout the course.
There's the start once again.
A very good start. He chooses to keep his hands on the push bar as he jumps into the sled, which can be dangerous. Coming out of Cristallo, it was actually a pretty nice exit. He only just tapped there, but kept the sled going straight.
So Christian Reich, who had 2 first-place finishes in the very first 2 weeks 1 year ago, yet to get a medal this season, now will take his position in the winner's area, the current leader.
As long as you know you're knocking at the door, you can still be content because you know that with just the smallest little changes, you will be in the medals.
René Spies, Germany 2, currently tied with Martin Annen as the 2-man overall leader after 2 events in this season. Great start, 4:88, and look at the lead, almost 0.3 of a second at the start.
That is a fantastic start for René Spies, one of the younger pilots here in the World Cup circuit. As long as he knows that he's got that fast start, he can just focus on the driving and be at peace and confident that the start is going to be there, so he can just focus on good driving.
While his lead has evaporated, it's now down to 14/100ths.
He may have made a mistake out of the first corner on that small little straightaway going into Cento.
Spies is only 27, was born and raised in Winterberg, the site of one of 4 bobsleigh tracks in Germany.
And
look at that.
Winterberg is a small town, but you grow up by a bob track, you're going to try it sooner or later. He tried his hand at it, and he has done very well with it.
And he has the lead. 54:07, the third best run of the day, but combined with his first run, he is 18/100ths better than Christian Reich of Switzerland.
So René Spies is assured of a medal, and again, at the bottom of Cortina, he is just happy to have arrived down there safely. And his brakeman, of course, who has no control over the sled, is particularly pleased.
Yes, there for the ride with his head down all the way.
When your sled is going straight down a straightaway like you see here, you just want to let it fly. You don't want to play with it or cause any sideways movement at all.
So René Spies of Germany 2, the confident René Spies, who was up and down from this German team, up and down from the minors, in the lead right now. His teammate Andre Lange and Kevin Kuski set to go for Germany 1.
Now Andre Lange in the 4-man just crushed the field like they were all driving rented mules. Now let's see how he can drive here in the 2-man. If he can do the same, 1/100th of a second separates him from the leader.
Hey,
and if he can drive like he did in the 4-man, he will take this race.
That's 2/100ths slower than the start of Spies. Let's see how he drives now. Oh, very smooth.
That is a beautiful exit to Cento. He has got the rhythm of this track. This is incredible. This is the best driving. He's driving better than Gunther Huber, whose home track this Cortina track is.
17/100ths the lead now for Lange over René Spies, his fellow countryman.
Now right now he's thinking, I am in the rhythm on this track. He is driving beautifully, and when you got the rhythm, you just don't want to lose it. One small mistake could cause you to lose it, then you have to adjust to get it back. And he is in flow on this track.
At the finish, it's Lange in the lead comfortably by 26/100ths of a second. So the kid who burst onto the World Cup circuit 1 year ago, finishing second in the World Championship 2-man, is the current leader with 1 sled to go.
This is when it gets fun. He put in a 53 88. He has put a great deal of pressure on the young Martin Annan from Switzerland for this final run. Martin Annan will have to compose himself and really go after it, because on this track you have to drive aggressively in some ways, but with great finesse in other parts of the track.
So the Bleach Boys from Germany, Andre Lange in the lead. 53.88 is his time. This is the last sled to come. Switzerland won.
Now Martin Annan will have to take a nice deep breath, let out all the tension, and just think, I've got to get in the rhythm on this track.
Be it Hefty rocking the sled.
They move the sled in the grooves like that at the start just to warm up the ice a little bit, get a little bit of moisture under the runners so that the sled's not too sticky when they first start to push it.
Listen to the breathing. And they're off. Martin Annan, Be at Hefty, Switzerland won. The last sled of the day, chasing Andre Lange at the start. Oh, it's the fastest of the day, 4.87.
He knows he's going to have a similar start to Lange, but he also will have seen by the time that he's going to have to drive this track perfectly to take him. And he is. He is going after it. He is in flow on this track. He's got to maintain this throughout the bottom to win this race here in Cortina, the man's track.
Martin Annan, the rookie, only 26 years of age. Little swiver there, but he's still got the lead. 17/100ths over Andre Lange of Germany.
That change in direction was able to help him recover from that mistake he made out of Bandion. Now he just wants to let it go at the bottom of the track and finish this race.
Right down the middle, Martin Annan darting to the finish and the win by 8/100ths of a second over Andre Lange of Germany won.
This is a great race because on this track, the toughest track in the world, Martin Annan was able to take on the challenge of a 1/100th of a second separation after the first heat.
Back-to-back victories for the rookie driver out of Switzerland. Martin Annan, the cheesemaker out of Arth, Switzerland, won in Eagles, and he wins again here in Cortina.
Here you're seeing one of the best starts in the world. Look at the power of these sprinters. Coming out of Cristallo, a very nice, smooth line, and just, you will now let it run down the straightaway. You don't want to hold the sled back.
All the Swiss coaches congratulating themselves. The kid they brought to the fore here, leading driver for this deep Switzerland team, young Martin Annan, is a winner again for the second event in a row.
And he's just so humble and ho-hum about it. It's great to see a champion like that.
Here are the official results in the two-man competition. Annan first, ahead of Andre Lange of Germany. René Spiess, Germany 2, is third. And look at that, Christian Reich just misses the podium again. Canada's Pierre Lueders in 12th place. Another tough weekend for the Canadians. His teammates Samuel and Zarski way back at 20 and 29. The Canadians need to sort out their sled problems and their starts before they go to Königssee, Germany. We'll have that one for you February the 10th on a track that's been tough on Canadians. Here are the overall two-man standings. It's Annan in the lead by 4 points over Spiess of Germany, and Lange is in third place at 98. But Pierre Lueders clinging to the top 10 right now in 9th place overall with 64 points. The winner today, Martin Annan of Switzerland, a bouquet for the Greenhorns who rule the roost in Cortina.